Okay, our next trade here was an X-ray. One signal here was in strategy number 4. That's it. And we went long on the 10th at 31.69, and this was our loser of the week. We got stopped out the very next day, 31.19. We lost half a point. Okay, now we're above the buy-sell line. This means we're going to go long, and we have to find the correct setup bar, and after we find the calculations, we see that this is the setup bar. So we can only go long if we trade above that setup bar, which we did. The very next day, we went long at 31.69. We placed our stop number 1 right here. Now you have the option, once again, of 2 stops, either stop placement number 1 or stop placement number 2. We're being more conservative in using stop placement number 1. Okay, so we entered at 31.69 and our stop was at 31.19. As you can see, once we entered, we opened much lower the next day, got stopped out, and then things looked like they were going our direction, but lo and behold, they went right back down. So this, once again, is a stock that is kind of just treading water. Now, our exit is a static exit, meaning that you know where you're going to be getting out once you enter into this trade. And this was roughly about 32.20 on this trade. Now, had we decided to use stop placement number 2, meaning our stop was down at these levels, we would still be in the trade. But you must know prior to entering the trade where you're going to place your stop. If you want to be more conservative, you have a tighter stop and you use stop placement number 1. If you want to be a little bit more riskier and more aggressive, you use stop placement number 2. You're giving yourself more room. You may be in the trade longer, but you're also adding more risk. So if you'd like to follow along with this next week, perhaps this stock will go up as well, and you would have made a nice gain had you stayed in by using stop placement number 2. Okay, now here are 3 stocks that are in play, meaning that we entered these stocks, but we haven't exited yet. Either we're not stopped out or we haven't exited with a profit. Our first is in BAC, Bank of America, strategy number 4, and this was a short trade. We got short on Wednesday at 12.21. Now this is a very inexpensive stock. I know a lot of people do not like to short stocks that are, less than $20, but because of the leverage involved, you can make some nice gains here. Here's our setup bar. We went short once we traded just below the low of the setup bar at 12.21. Our 2 stop levels, we are using stop placement number 1. And we calculated our exit, which comes to 11.72 with our proprietary exit level. So we're just now simply waited. We're waiting because we entered at 12.21. We're either going to get stopped out with a loss up here, or hopefully the trend will resume lower and we'll cover our short at 11.72. Now, it's not a lot. This is only going to be a 30 or 40 cent gain, but this is a very inexpensive stock. So for those of you traders who like to, have the leverage of picking up a lot of shares either to buy or to short because of the small prices, you can do that. It's just as well with a smaller price stock as you can with a larger price one. Our next trade was in ABC, strategy number 4. We went long yesterday, the 11th, at 31.50. We're above the buy-sell line, telling us to look for a setup bar to go long, and here's the proper calculation for our setup bar. Remember, if you don't know how to calculate a setup bar, all of this is made privy to all of our members on the website. So we went long once we traded above the high of the setup bar at 31.50. Here's our exit right here at 32.36. We already have an open order here to exit the trade, and here are our 2 stop levels. We are currently using stop placement number 1. So we just simply wait. Hopefully this will resume upward and we'll have a nice gain at the end of next week. And our last trade was in JBL, which we went long today on the 4th at 14.44, another inexpensive stock. This is the setup bar right here, circled in blue. So once we traded above the setup bar, we entered at 14.44. We have our stop placed here at stop placement number 1. If we were riskier, we would place it down here. The calculation for stop placement number 2 would be down at these levels right here. You must learn how to calculate these different stop levels if you want to use the specialist edge. And then lastly, you must learn how to calculate the exit level. Now this is a fixed exit, meaning that strategy number 4 is not dynamic. We know where we're getting out before we even get in. So we can place our open order there to exit at 15.19. Okay, so let's recap the trades. We only had 2 trades that were executed this week. They were both long trades. None of them were short. And we had 0 winners from these trades. We only had 1 loser and 1 break even. But remember, as I said earlier, the market is trying to decide here whether we're going to continue going upward or whether we kind of hit some short-term top because we had a rather large sell-off the last couple of days. So now it looks as if we may be changing direction. And because of this kind of stutter step here, a lot of our signals were not triggered, and we didn't get in the market with a lot of trades. But that's fine because we didn't really lose anything either, trying to be long and then getting killed on this sell-off. So we only lost a half a point. We basically stayed out of trouble this week. Remember, our strategies are basically here to give you an edge. And what is our edge? The specialist edge is consistency. If you trade them over and over again, like a numbers game, you'll have this nice upward P&L, very nice upward equity curve in your P&L, and you'll be able to be trading not just 1 year and have a great year and then, have everything go down the tubes because it doesn't work anymore. You'll be able to be trading 5, 10, hopefully 20, 30 years down the road. What we ask you to do is come to our website, learn these strategies, paper trade them, and then once you really feel you understand them, then commit small amounts of capital and begin trading. Now, if you have any questions concerning what I went over today or anything on our website, please do not hesitate to email me at stephenprimo@specialisttrading.com. In closing, we ask that you take one last look at our disclaimer. I showed you some performance results and strategy results this last week, but remember, we can in no way guarantee that any of the results I showed you will be repeated in the future. Have a very safe and pleasant and relaxing weekend. We'll see you here next week. Bye-bye.